Hello, this is Candace from the Hot Bohemian, and today I am working with gold-filled wire, and I'm going to attempt to make a stacking ring. This is going to be my first attempt working with gold-filled, so we'll see how this all works out. I am using 16 gauge wire from Rio Grande. And the solder I am using is a 10 karat easy solder. So if we look here, this about a foot piece of solder. This runs about 30 bucks was the current going price on Rio Grande. So expensive for this small piece of wire, but we will see how this all turns out. So I'm excited to see how I can fabricate my first gold filled ring. And so we will start with the 16 gauge wire, and it also has texture to it. It was actually on sale. So what I'm gonna do is I want to make this a size 7. I'm gonna make this for me. So I'm gonna get my handy dandy toolkit, my millimeter measurer, and size 7. I know it's gonna be around 60. We're gonna make this 59. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this 59 because I know this is smaller than what I'm normally used to. I'll get my cutters, and then I'm gonna cut on my, there we go. Okay, so I have my piece. So I always just store my metal back into the plastic bag it came in. For me, it's easier that way. Keeps me organized. So what I'm going to do now is grab my stainless steel mandrel. And this is how I typically make all rings. I'll take the piece of metal and I'll bend it around until it's about where it should be lined up for a ring. Okay, and then I can kind of bend this, or even use, there's different tools you can use. I have read up that gold-filled mars easily, so you want to use something that has nylon lining here for pliers. Typically for stainless, or not stainless, sterling, I'll use 2 of these pliers to kind of bend this into shape. But in this case, we'll see what I can do for bending for this one. Actually, I'm skipping a step here. I should file the edges of this down a little bit just to make it an even flush. And I am using a needle file. Maybe a little more. So this ring's just for practice. So I will wear it myself. Okay, that feels good. So I filed up the sides, and then so you kind of just work it into where these 2 end pieces touch, and you want it to, and it's okay if it's not a perfect circle. And then try to just get those pieces to touch as close So it's more or less bending the wire back and forth to kind of get that tension tight. So it is looking and feeling pretty good for me. Okay, so I'm going to put these tools away. I'm going to bring out my annealing pan, which I might have to move this because this annealing pan might be a little closer to the camera. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have this set here. I read online that you want to take flux, gold filled, in its entirety. So I'm using Handy Flux, and I got this off Rio. Rio is my #1 place for metal smithing materials. I really haven't found another website that has a variety and knowledgeability and really good prices. So I am going to stick with Rio as long as they keep providing the great customer service, great tutorial videos, everything like that. So I am just right on my bench block. I am just coating this with flux. I just want to make sure the whole thing is, and this is just what I read. Usually with my sterling silver pieces, I only flux the joint that I am going to solder. So I'm just gonna double protect myself here with all the solder. Okay, so now I have soldered that. I'm gonna take my very expensive soldering 10 karat wire, and with my cutters I'm gonna make the tiniest little cut I can. So it's probably hard to even see that. Oh, and it's cool, this pan does twist. Okay, so it is right here. If you can see, I am fluxing the piece of solder. And I'm gonna find my joint. And this is easy solder, so this should flow at a lower temperature than medium or hard. And when you're working with gold filled, you want to make sure you're using a low temperature flowing solder, because the more heat that you put on your piece, the more work you have in the end. So as you can see, I got my piece of solder. I'm gonna use this micro torch that I bought at Harbor Freight for $15. I'm gonna start this baby up and heat the piece. We shall see how this works. This is my first attempt at creating a gold filled band. So I'm kind of heating the whole piece up a little bit, and then I'm going to start to then focus. Okay, so the solder did flow. It looks like it did turn a little bit of fire scale. And you can see that it looks like a little bit of fire scale there, but I'm going to throw this in the pickle and we'll see what happens.